I want to correct the record geographically. My dear friend and colleague, Senator Shaheen, I think slipped, and I didn't want to leave any confusion. She characterized the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard as being between Maine and New Hampshire. If you do come to see us, Dr. Hicks, it's in Maine. I just want to clarify that, not between Maine and New Hampshire. More seriously, I want to associate myself with Senator Kane's comments on the issue of sexual harassment. I was one of those that opposed taking this out of the chain of command, have supported multiple reforms starting in 2013 that don't seem to have borne results. So I'm also in the camp of being receptive to more significant change. We simply have to confront this problem in a structural way. I think that has some hope of some solution. I also should mention that one of the changes we made was to criminalize retaliation. That does not seem to have been used, at least not very effectively, in the military justice system, and I think that's one of the more serious problems. To move on to just two or three questions. One is the National Defense Act last year essentially abolished the role of the Chief Management Officer. How do you see replacing that function, if not replacing the individual? We have to be sure that this enormous entity of the Defense Department is effectively managed. Give me some thoughts on replacing the function of the Chief Management Officer.
Senator, first of all, I have been to Kittery, Maine, so I look forward to engaging in the New Hampshire, Maine debate over the shipyard. The Deputy Secretary of Defense is often thought of as the Chief Operating Officer of the Pentagon. My view is that that is an appropriate way to, generally speaking, think of the role. In order to bring business process efficiency and business transformation to the department, you need components and leaders at every level dedicated to making sure the return to taxpayer is appropriate, and again, that the focus is on the joint warfighter and providing what that warfighter needs today and in the future. So I think there are some shared responsibilities, but to the extent that the deputy is the chief operating officer, that position bears the brunt of the responsibility and focus. The current Deputy Secretary of Defense has put forward a memo with the abolishment of the CMO position that lays out the disposition of the responsibilities formally assigned to the CMO. If confirmed, I would want to look at the decision-making behind that memo, understand why he made those decisions, and make my own assessment about whether those are the right places to put those responsibilities. And I would look forward to an opportunity to coming back and speaking with you, Senator King, and others who are interested in this space to make sure that we're set up for success on the functions, as you point out, that need to carry forward.
My concern is that if you have many people responsible, no one's responsible. And one of my philosophies of management is I like to have one throat to choke. That is someone who is accountable. I hope you will consider having in your office a person who's specially assigned to this function. Moving on to the question of cyber, Senator Rounds addressed it very effectively. You talked about we spend billions, and most of this hearing is about all the money we're spending to defend ourselves against potential attacks. I don't believe we're adequately defending ourselves against actual attacks that are taking place at this very moment. And so I hope that the issue of cyber, and you use the term deter our adversaries, the problem of cyber and deterrence is something that we really haven't wrestled with very well. So I hope that's an area that you will pay some special attention to, because as I say, we're spending billions to deter potential attacks, and I don't think enough attention is being paid to deterring and managing actual attacks that are underway at this very moment.
Senator, I will commit to looking into that space, and I want to thank you for the work you've done as a leader on the Cyber Solarium Commission. I know the department already has been directed to adopt many of those recommendations.
One specific I would recommend would be to facilitate threat hunting on the defense industrial base. SolarWinds tells us that sometimes the easiest path into secure systems is through subs and supply chain, and I think that's an area where would be very fruitful in terms of defense. Also, the policy of deterrence, which we can talk about at greater length. Finally, Senator Tillis talked about procurement. We've had testimony before this committee that many smaller companies, particularly in Silicon Valley and in the technology field generally, have given up on the Pentagon. It's too complicated, it's too lengthy, it's too expensive even to fill out the forms. I commend procurement reform to you in that regard, because if we're not taking advantage of the newest ideas, the newest technologies, we're going to lose our qualitative edge, which you have defined as important. So I hope you will consider the procurement program from the point of view of a 12-person IT firm in Seattle or Portland, Maine, or Austin, Texas, and how we can make the procurement system manageable for that kind of operation.
Senator, I completely agree with you, and this ties into several elements of conversation that have come up this morning. The department has begun to pursue an adaptive acquisition pathways approach. I think that's generally moving in the right direction. If confirmed, I would want to get in and understand, to your point, how well that's serving the full range of particularly non-traditional, those alternative pathways can serve the non-traditional suppliers. The data that I've seen from the outside is that the pickup on non-traditionals is very low. We are not attracting development expertise into the supply chain for DoD from outside the normal traditional base. And that's a real concern. I think greater use of other transactional authority and other pathways has helped at least on pieces of this, but jumping over the valley of death and getting those efforts into procurement, that's the lifeblood for these small companies that cannot survive just on R&D dollars.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Senator King. Senator